and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode. What is that, third episode now of the...
Yeah, now it's the third episode. Finally the third.
Yeah, man, we're really getting the ball rolling here for you guys. Now, we got some people telling us that they listen to our podcast, and they're trying to say kind of like what we're going for in this podcast.
Yeah, like I got some feedback from some random people basically saying that, that we're just hitting random topics. We're not keeping track with things, that we're not staying in one topic. Yeah, well, what do you think about that, Jay?
Yeah, the thing is, let's be clear. Like, we talk about this when we go to the bar, and we enjoy it.
Yeah.
And sometimes people join the conversations at some bars that we're in, and they seem to enjoy it. Enough of that stuff happens multiple times, and you know what ends up happening? We're just like, well, you know what? Why don't we do this anyways? Well, why don't we make this a podcast instead? And we start talking about topics, and we start getting, these discussions rolling and just putting it out there online for everybody to listen to. People seem to find it interesting in real life, and some of the feedback we got too.
Well, guys, now you know the backstory of the Jake podcast, how it started.
And by the way, you notice how it's J and J. It's not Dr. J and Dr. J, right? So most of the stuff we say here is opinions or our take on certain stuff, right? We don't need anybody asking us what colleges we went to, what medical degrees we have. Ask your mom. So basically, you didn't catch that UFC fight, did you? With Volkanovski?
Nah, man. Unfortunately, I missed it, man. I just saw the highlights of the match, but it seemed like it was unfair, man. What do you think?
The results? Well, people say it was unfair. The only thing unfair I found about that was like the last judge ruled like 46-49 against Volkanovski. And it was 49-48, 49-48,
oh, wow.
49-46.
So it's like right there in the border, bro.
Yeah, but what happens is the third judge is a little suspect because like Volkanovski was not getting beat that bad. Actually, the thing about that UFC fight, and this is why I like Volkanovski as a fighter, dude. Number one, he went up in weight class, right? To try to be a double champ. He was putting his undefeated UFC record on the line. Yes, I know he has one loss, but it wasn't in the UFC. All right? Before anybody starts sending us hate mail or whatever. But this dude, bro, what I like about Volkanovski, he's like a machine. He's built like a tank, right? So he's like 5'6", that dude, right? Built like a tank. And people were expecting Islam to just go and start throwing him around and beating him up. Because the thing about, I said this on the last episode too, the Dagestani wrestlers, the Dagestani people, like these fighters, these guys are monsters, bro. These guys are monsters. And Volkanovski went up in weight and faced a monster and really gave him a run for his money. People were shook. We thought Volkanovski, that could have gone either way. That's the only fight, according to what a lot of people are saying, that even though Volkanovski lost, the amount of respect that he gained from people was like immense now. Immense. Because most people were expecting him to not win. Not me. I'm a Volkanovski fan. I really wanted him to win. I thought he could have won. But most people weren't expecting him to not only not win, but to actually give this guy Islam work. Like, he gassed him too. He gassed him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he went up on weight too, man, just to meet, the standard, just to face him.
Out-conditioned him.
How much time did he do that? What was the time span that he went up on weight? Do you know?
It's a fair amount. They gave him a few months. It wasn't like next month you're going to fight him. It's been since like maybe October or November this fight was called. And so, they gave him some time to go up in weight and things like that. But yeah, man. That's pretty much what you wrote to. Anything good happened? Not good, but any news happened?
So yeah, there was a train that derailed in Ohio.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah. Something about like chemicals or something like that spilled.
Yeah, there was like a whole bunch of chemicals that were on board that train, bro. And like the crazy thing about it is that the EPA seems to be hiding things. They seem to be reporting that they actually.
Now hold on. When you say hiding things, like they're hiding things like, oh, what are you doing? Nothing happened, or they're trying to downplay it.
Yeah, they're trying to downplay it. Supposedly, they followed the right protocols. And, they did everything well. And also the crazy thing about it was that the EPA actually, the way they actually got rid of the chemicals was that they were vaporizing the chemicals that were in the sky.
I think I read that. They were doing something like a controlled burn or something like that. Where there's
some crazy tactic, man, that supposedly made everything like nice and safe for the surrounding town. But I don't know.
Well, that's what they said, that it was nice and safe. Because if you burn that stuff, it's coming back to me now. I think, okay. I see. I was seeing some stuff about this. So basically, a controlled burn is like you can't just pick those chemicals up with your hands or like brush them or scoop them up. So what they do is like, well, you know what? We'll burn them so they can just, like you said, vaporize, evaporate them, and then that way they can, it burns off from the ground and from the environment, and it kind of keeps it safe. But what happens now is that stuff gets into the air big time. Big time.
I mean, that's a red flag in itself. If it's something that you think you can't like dispose of with your hands, you would have to like vaporize it.
So, yeah, that's the thing. Like, something has to get done about it. Yeah. Honestly, when whatever was going to happen, like, obviously burning it is not a popular opinion, but maybe that was the best way to handle it. Maybe that was the protocols that they had in place. Like, hey, if this happens, this is how we do it, and we'll test it, and then hope, right, that the air kind of like filters in and makes it clean.
Yeah, but there's been several reports of locals saying, there's dead fish that are appearing right now in the Ohio River. There's a lot of like weird, I guess, suspicious things going on.
What bothers me about that is like, this is funny, right? Because now people who weren't conspiracy theorists before, now they're starting to have like now the red flags are starting to come up, right? Because now they're like, wait a minute, they're saying that this is safe that the air is safe to breathe and that the water is fine. But you look up, and this is some of the pictures that I saw from some websites. Like, you look up, and in the sky you see a cloud of like just black dust, like just straight up black poisonous dust. And some guy took a picture of it from the airplane. Wow. Took a picture of the cloud. I'm like, wait a minute. So the EPA is looking at people in their faces and lying to them and saying, yeah, no, this is safe to breathe. You guys are Gucci. You guys are fine. And then like there's dead fish, and they're saying the water's fine too. And then there's people saying that their eyes burn, that their mouth burns, that their skin burns, that they're I don't know, they get headaches or whatever. And the EPA is coming in front now and saying, yep, we're all good here. So let me tell you what happens with that. To all you future conspiracy theorists out there and people who stood on the fence. Well, here's how these type of conspiracy theorists are born. Right here, right in the spot, right? What happens is this. The EPA will say that. Lie to your face. Straight up to your face. Right? The equivalent of, that car is not red, it's blue. But you're looking at it, and the car is red, right?
And they convince you too somehow.
So they convince you that, oh, they're professionals, so we gotta listen to them. It's like, people, at some point, you're going to have to trust your senses, right? For the most basic things. Like, I don't know, if your eyes and your mouth burns, it could be an indication that maybe the EPA, A, doesn't know what they're doing, or B, and this one's much worse, that they're lying. Now, if they're lying, right, most people are going to start thinking to themselves, well, if they're lying about this directly to our faces with something that we know, what else are they lying about? What else have they been lying about in the past? And this is how people start questioning stuff. You don't get people saying that the moon landing was fake because some guy woke up one day, went to a microwave, ate a plate of Tostitos, and then went back to his mom's basement. No. Some of these people, this is how they're born right here, because now they start saying, damn, bro, these are professionals who are supposed to be telling us the truth, and what they're saying is clearly the opposite of what we're experiencing here. The river is straight up poison. The animals are straight up dead. Some lady lost all her chickens.
Wow.
So you're gonna tell that lady like the air is safe to breathe? You know what I mean?
That's insane, man.
So not to go on like on a tangent here, but it's been a media blackout about this. I haven't heard about this like that much. It's been a media blackout about this. Nobody's reporting it like to the extent of the kids in cages. How many people died there? Not many. That we know of, right? The kids in cages, right? But this was a national media story, coverage all over the place. We gotta stop these evil people. Well, here's something that's happening right now, right in our backyards, poisoning the rivers, the air, and everything. Nobody's saying anything about it?
Yeah, I think because in the situation doesn't involve, certain votes or a certain political party or money too, right? Now it's like, here's a federal agency basically saying, everything's fine and dandy. Don't worry about anything. Just just turn your eye around and don't
go back home.
Anything, pretty much.
You guys can go back home. You guys are fine. You guys can breathe the air. And people are saying like, bro, like this thing is burning our faces.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whatever you think of J.D. Vance, I think his name is. He's a senator he's a senator of Ohio. Whatever you think of him, I don't know the guy. I don't know his political how he feels about certain political things. I know he's a Republican, but whatever you feel about him, he at least went down there and said, "Yo, something has to be done." And if the EPA, and shout out to him for saying this part right here. If the EPA is saying that the water is safe to drink, come down here and drink it.
Yeah.
Come down here and drink the water you think it's safe. You know what I mean? One person in the media who was there in the media conference asked him, when he says, if the EPA is saying it's safe, I want you guys to come here and drink it. You know what they asked him?
What?
These hard-hitting journalists, these hardball journalists, these no-nonsense journalists, they look at this guy after he made that statement and said, well, would you drink it? Like, what? No, I just said no, and I dare anybody to come here and drink it. But, you know, that's the world we're living in now. And so what I do here is a lot of blame going on. A lot of people saying, well, you know, the previous administration this, the previous administration that. Granted. But if I was a political strategist, you know what I would do? I would say, doesn't matter who did it, okay? Let's fix this right now. Let's show face, okay? Let's show our faces to the disaster zone. Look at us. We're here, guys. We're trying to get this done. So when the next election cycle comes, you use that as political leverage and say, the previous administration of this party voted in this, which caused this derailment, which resulted in this, in your community being poisoned. We showed up there, we fixed it, and then we passed these laws, and then we made these suggestions to make sure that this never happens again in your backyard or in any backyard in the United States. And hey, yo, you guys all play the identity politics, and we make sure this doesn't happen in disenfranchised areas that affect black and brown people. Boom, everybody wins. What they gonna say? No. You're lying? There's no results? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're not showing face. They're not showing face. And I'm gonna just finish off with this. For anybody out there saying, well, what do you want, you know, the president to do? What do you want the Secretary of Transportation to do, which is Pete Buttigieg? What do you want them to do? Go over there and clean it up? No, we don't, people. But let's not act like we weren't giving Ted Cruz, rightfully so, a hard time for flying to Mexico during a Texas power outage.
Yeah.
He was getting reamed, and he should have gotten reamed. You know why? Because he should have been there. He should have been showing face. He should have been telling people, "Hey, we're working on this. I'm trying to see if I can get things happening. I'm trying to see what we can do to get this, you know, resolved as quickly as possible. I'm with you guys. You know, I'm with my constituents." But you know, they're nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. You know, nobody's asking questions. Nobody's like
taking accountability, basically.
Right, and that's the thing, right? Everybody wants to be a leader. And this thing about being leaders, right? People who know what it takes to be a leader, for the most part, tend to kind of shy away from being a leader sometimes, not all the time. But sometimes they'll say, look, man, the responsibility that happens, that is on the leader's shoulder is immense. All the time, everything that doesn't go right is your fault. Whether you were responsible for it or not, you were still responsible for it. And that's what these people got to do. Like, hey, look, we just got here. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to fix it. We're going to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Talking about, you know, the whole thing about, you know, affecting the sky and the atmosphere, you know, with the derailment of the train.
The climate activists must be upset. They must be marching.
Greta, where's Greta, man? What's she doing?
You asking about Greta?
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you? No, but the climate, what the climate change people say, this got to be like huge for them. They got to be like pointing fingers.
I mean, I haven't heard anything about them, man.
Nobody's out there like marching and saying.
Just only silence.
Hold on. So like a climate, like this is actually a climate catastrophe, not climate change that's supposed to happen by the year 2030. Whether you believe it or not, that's your thing. This is an actual climate catastrophe. This is an actual thing where you can actually see the results. They're not saying anything. They're not saying like this is why we need to you know, Greta Thunberg is not out there saying
she's too busy writing a book, man. She's writing a book, trying to, you know, capitalize on her, you know, her fame and glory of, you know, she's trying to basically, I guess, make money. But in this case, it doesn't involve anything about money. Yeah, it's pretty messed up. You would think that, you know, her and her movement would be there. Trying to make this more prevalent. The movement, right, should be out there, front line, walking their talk, saying like, look, you see, they should be out there pointing fingers and be like, when we said that we got to take better care of our stuff and be careful how we do things, we were called crazy activists. Now, in between coughs and holding your breaths, right, you're trying to find solutions to something that could have been avoided if you guys actually took the time to pass or pass regulations, right, that would have prevented this from happening, right? Because you care about the economy. I mean, because you care about the ecology, the environment, right? Now, my understanding is that on top of this being a regulatory blunder, which kind of eased up certain processes, I heard
don't quote me on this. There's still investigations going, but some safety but some safety protocols were not followed. So what I'm saying is this. This is why nobody takes climate activists seriously. Because in the moment where you guys could show face, in the moment where you guys can show up and say, look, we're here, this is what we've been trying to warn you guys about, this is what we've been telling you guys about, now we just poison a big chunk of our water supply like near the Ohio area that goes into other states. You know what I mean? And now you guys are trying to fix this, and I use that in quotes. They're not trying to do anything. People are trying to cover themselves and blaming other people instead of trying to find a solution. The climate activists should be out there saying, look, you see this? You see? And now we're the crazy ones. You guys are going to do this. You guys are going to forget about it. And then we're going to go back to being the crazy ones. You guys are going to go back to making empty promises about we need to go green by the year 2015. You know what I mean? That was Joe Biden because, sometimes he doesn't know where he is most of the time. You know what I mean? But that's the thing, man. That's the thing. These climate activists, nobody takes them seriously for that reason, because in the moment that they need to show face, and the moment that they can win people over on their side, say if you're on the fence, right? Say if you're like, well, I don't know about these climate activists, I don't know if they're crazy or not, and this happens, and the climate activists showed up, and they say, and they start explaining what's going on, what the repercussions are, that this is what, specifically what they're trying to fight to avoid, that would win me over. If I was on the fence, I'd be like, yo, I can get behind this 100%. You know what I mean? People trying to not pollute the rivers and trying to push for, if you were a guy, right, who was like, I was a hardcore remove regulations from all businesses, let the businesses operate how they want. But now seeing this and listening to the climate activists say this is why we need some form of regulation because of X, Y, and Z, and this is the result, we don't have it, I can be like, hey, you know what? That makes sense. I might change my stance slightly on regulations, and I might say, maybe we need a little bit more regulations on certain things. That's how you win people over. But where are they? Where are they?
Nowhere.
What a bunch of... the word fraud, man, I feel like I've been using it a lot lately. But it's like, bro, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, and now you're talking about regulations. I see a lot of jobs, a lot of corporations actually offering a lot of unlimited PTO. Which is actually kind of funny because I was doing my own research and the statistics are actually showing that they're actually saving money by doing this, man. They're saving money by offering free PTO because a lot of people don't take their PTO.
Number one. And number two, in some states, when you leave the company, you're supposed to get all that accrued time back.
Yeah.
But if you have unlimited PTO, you technically have zero PTO. So when you leave, there's nothing to pay you back in. So,
and not only that, now that they're getting unlimited PTO, they no longer are requiring you to have holidays and stuff. So, I mean, it depends on the corporation, but a lot of corporations now, they're not even allowing you to take off on holidays. So what they're doing now is they're offering you unlimited PTO if it's approved by, upper management.
Wait, so Christmas you don't take off or something like that?
I mean, it says that in their policies, basically you get no holidays because technically you could take off on the holiday. So that kind of forces certain people to actually have to work on those certain days.
I'm gonna have to look that up because some places they use the word vacation and holiday interchangeably.
Yeah.
So somebody be like, "Oh, I'm on holiday." That means it's just on vacation. So maybe that's what they meant. I don't know. But yeah, they do save money that way. Usually the Europeans are pretty good with like implementing that stuff first.
Yeah. So did you hear what's going on in I think it was Spain?
Oh yeah, like the parliament passed. Wow, this is nuts. So the parliament in Spain, they passed a couple of things. The first thing they passed is like they call it, and I'm going to say this word very respectfully, as I read it in the bill, as we read it in the bill, they've approved something called menstrual leave. All right? Let that sink in for a little bit. Okay? Because what's happening is people are, I feel it. I feel the knee-jerk reactions, knees going up, trying to, let it sink in. Parliament just approved menstrual leave. Okay? You heard the word, you think some weird joke is going to come out of that, or you came to the wrong place. Once the mics are off, that's a different story. But for those of you who don't know, okay, menstrual leave is when a woman is allowed to take some time, okay, when it's that time of the month. Personally, I don't have a problem with that, okay? I don't really care. My thing is this, all right? I'm going to be really sensitive about this. If you were a company and you were looking for productivity and hiring workers, okay, and you knew that one group of people, you could only get 3 weeks out of them, while another group of people, you could only get 4. How quickly would you want, or how quickly do you think companies would hire them? Not saying that they're not going to hire them, but now there's a lot more thought that goes into hiring that didn't go into hiring them before. That's my concern. I am concerned. Good thing I could take the high road here. I am concerned that this will disproportionately affect our women. Women who fought to get into the workplace will now possibly be discriminated against because they get a week off, or I don't know however long.
I didn't look into it, but yeah, I think it's 1 week per month.
Right. So, ladies, those of you celebrating it now, I would air caution, and really think about this and how this could affect you, because now companies and on top of that, women do tend to take more days off. Just in general, like the numbers just say, men work more and longer hours than women, because women actually women actually take more days off and more time off because they actually value work-life balance more so than men do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so with that being said, Spain's parliament just approved menstrual leave. People are saying this is a good thing. I don't know. I would think about it, not because I don't want women to take days off when they're in pain or however they go to, but because most companies now might think twice before they hire a woman. And their excuse is, well, we need somebody who can work 4 weeks out of the month, and we're losing a week every month now if we hire a woman. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if other countries are going to catch on to that, especially, USA, we're all about equal opportunities and, equal outcome. But at the end of the day, it's a capitalist country, and I think it's going to definitely affect the hiring process, and so that's when
regrettably, because obviously it's not like we don't want women to get hired or whatever the case is, but there's something to think about here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to do this in a time where there's already a worker shortage, to do this in a time where we're having supply chain issues, if there was ever a time to do it, it would be when the economy was somewhat booming
or stable,
where companies could afford technically to have half their workforce take a week off every month, to deal with whatever occurs in that moment. Notice I'm trying to tiptoe around the thing, so I don't want anybody to get offended. So women, I would really think about that, and I would really, I discuss it among your people. What do you guys think? Yeah, you get a week off. It's paid for by the company. So the company's basically hiring somebody who they only get 3 weeks out of, but they have to pay them for 4 weeks, right? Or I don't know how that would work in Spain. If the government partially pays for some of that and the company partially pays for some of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works.
But I would be really concerned. They also passed. They actually removed or made trans kids rights. What do they call? They call them children's trans rights type of thing, where now kids were like 12 to 14 or something like that, with parental supervision or after a doctor's approval, can start hormone therapies, and they can start taking that, and then 15, 16-year-old kids can actually start.
Wait, so where did that happen? Was that in Spain?
This is in Spain, where they started implementing this. Or they didn't implement it. I'm sorry, let me take that back. It passed Parliament within the same bill, I believe, that included the menstrual leave for women. So 15 and 16-year-old, I think 16 or 17-year-olds can already start the process of changing their sex, which, again, however you feel about this, people, at some point we're going to have to draw the line. Older people doing it, people over 18, people over 20, that's fine. But children are extremely susceptible to suggestions. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not a coincidence, or it's not by accident that children who grow up in religious households tend to be religious themselves. Children who grow up in households where their parents are doctors sometimes tend to grow up to be doctors. Children are susceptible to the environment around it, and they absorb what their environment is. Sweden, right, is actually rolling back their hormone therapy laws, or whatever they call it, or procedures, because number one, from what I was reading, Sweden was one of the first countries who pioneered sex change for children and giving them hormone blockers. Happening is, according to, I think the website was Euronews or something like that, the side effects that some of these kids were experiencing from being put on these hormone blockers was like osteoporosis, liver failure, a whole bunch. These are children. And now Sweden being the... So here's the thing. A lot of people say nothing's going to happen. In America, we don't have enough data.
Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah.
Right. Sweden, who has been doing this longer than us,
since 1970 actually.
Yes.
So they have over 30 years of data to actually look back on.
50, dude. This 2020, baby.
Sorry, man. Biden moment.
Yeah, that was a good one. Biden moment. But Sweden's data is now coming in, and now they're saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" To nobody's surprise. Whoa, we got to kind of scale back here because what we're seeing now is very, very concerning. And for people who are saying, "Well, it's hormone blockers and these medications to help kids," it's not that harmful. It's not that. Well, let me ask you a question, people. The people who say that usually tend to believe that climate change is real. I'm not denying it. I'm not saying it's real. I'm not saying it's fake. But we can all agree in reference to climate change that the Earth is a complex system. When you introduce toxins or external factors into that complex systems, such as pollution, such as carbon dioxide from factories and stuff like that, it does change the system most of the time in a harmful way. The human body is a complex system. When you introduce things like, even medicine, when you introduce things like hormone blockers to the body, how are you going to sit here and tell me that climate change is real because humans are causing it with the way they're living and they're introducing all these toxins and chemicals to the environment that's changing the climate? But then you're going to sit here and tell me in the same breath that, oh, sex change hormones and puberty blockers are not really affecting kids that way. It's fine. When you're introducing something to a complex system, such as the human body, right?
Yeah, that makes sense, man. In a way, I mean, you're suppressing
the
natural function of the
right.
human body, so it's going to have usually a harmful effect.
Right. And for those of you who don't know, Tulsi Gabbard had somebody on her show named Chloe something or the other. Shout out to Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard, holla at your boy. I don't know how to surf, but you know what I mean? I'm talking about a little Democrat for you, you know what I mean? No, but all jokes aside, yo. She had a girl on her show who had a sex change, removed her breasts before she was 18, right? And now she regrets it. There's going to be more stories like that coming out. And the crazy thing about that is that the girl is now saying when she was on the process of doing sex change and doing hormone therapy, she was the trans community was getting her back and they were helping her out and they were saying all these things that we support you. But then the moment she did it and she started showing regrets, supposedly, according to Chloe, anybody who has an issue with this or anybody who wants to take your lawsuits to Chloe, right? The little girl, now woman who had a sex change who now regrets it. She's saying that they turned their back on her. They turned their back on her, and now she's saying, and she's saying
it's because she's no longer supporting the movement at that point.
I think it's more sinister. I think it's more sinister than that. I think it's evil. I think it's like we got one.
No way.
Screw you. It's your fault. And it's your problem now. You know, we got you to do what we wanted. You know what I mean? So we don't care now. You just another statistic about, oh, look, we do all these sex changes a month and nobody's saying anything because I believe that they suppress the numbers. My personal opinion. But now she's saying that term. Now she's doing a lawsuit. There's going to be more lawsuits coming out. And I hope there is. Because, guys, again, what you do as an adult, it's not my problem. You could do what I do not care. When you try to, I don't even want to say coerce, but when you try to, like, trick children into doing something like that, you're evil, bro. Like, you're evil. You are evil, okay?
Yeah.
If you give kids alcohol, which is 10 times less bad than trying to get them to do sex change. Not that I do it, I don't condone that. I think that's wrong. But even people who give kids alcohol, we look at them like, yo, what are you doing, man? What's your problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so right. So to me, this is evil. This is just pure evil. Not the change itself. If you're an adult, not that it matters. Nobody's gonna listen to that part. They're already gonna say that.
They're just gonna cut that clip where it says, you know.
Yeah, but As an adult, you can do whatever you want. Leave the kids alone. And you know, Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. Dwayne Wade, dude. Us here at the Jaycast and our 15 subscribers are very upset with you. You let your kid just go out and you're using your kid as a puppet. You know what I mean? To you just letting him get a sex change. You know, so people really think about that. Look into that when you get the chance. Look into the whole Spain thing, the whole Sweden thing, as they're slowly rolling back their puberty blocking programs because they're like, whoops, we kind of screwed up here. And I hope that the people fighting against children mutilation, because that's what it is, children mutilation, keep up the good fight, and that they don't give up, and that they keep going. They gotta draw a line in the sand, and you gotta just stand firm in this. If people say, "Oh, this is bigotry," it's not bigotry to want to protect kids. So you know what I mean. I really wanted to talk about conspiracy theories about Project Blue Book. No, Project Bluebeam. I'm sorry, Project Blue Book was something else. We're big conspiracy fans here, guys, and we really want to talk about the UFO stuff that they supposedly shot down. What do you think about that?
You know what's crazy? Actually, today I was reading an article how they're saying that they actually shot down. It seems like some sort of a project or something, like a kid's balloon project or something that he reported that he lost. And supposedly, I think they're saying that one of the missiles missed, and the missile I think cost like $425,000. So I don't know what's true or not. There's so many stories out there, and you know, like we mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, if you can't even trust the government, like the EPA, with certain data that they're feeding us, like who can you trust?
And this is data that's in your face. Yeah. This is straight up in your face data. Like, hey, look, the sky is brown because the poison. Like, the air's safe to breathe. Like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
What else? But then that calls into question certain medications of the past 2-3 years that you were forced to take.
Yeah.
How safe is that now?
And then there's that too. Yeah.
You know, but the whole thing with the UFOs, right? 10 years ago, if you said, "Oh, it's a UFO," the government wouldn't even acknowledge you. Now the government is just using the word UFO super loosely.
Yeah. That's very common, yeah.
Yo, it's been like Roswell happened in 1947, right? I'm a big conspiracy fan. All you subscribers out there, all 15 of you, if you guys ever want to see just a straight up conspiracy theory only episode, let us know. We're huge on that. We'll start trickling it in here and there within the podcast. But you tell the government like, "Yo, there was a UFO," they're like, "What the freak is this guy talking about? Man? This guy's out of his mind." But now they're talking about, "Yeah, we shot something. We don't know what it was. It wasn't from China. We don't know what it was." And they're just using the word UFO now very loosely. They're like, it's a UFO. And then they be like, "Well, it's an unidentified flying object." Well, technically that's true, but before you guys weren't using that word, what changed? And then you have the Space Force now, and a whole bunch of stuff is happening. Guys, if you guys are listening, when you get a chance, look up Tom DeLonge, as well as Stephen Greer, and the whole Disclosure Project. Look up the difference between soft disclosure and hard disclosure. Soft disclosure is what we're seeing right now. Soft disclosure is Congress is calling certain people from the military to testify about certain objects that they're seeing. They're acknowledging, right?
Actually, you know what? Like, let's make an episode in the future based off on this.
Of course.
Yeah.
Dude, we'll get into the whole fake alien invasion, Warner von Braun, all that stuff, man. But that's it for today's episode. I know we went on a little tangent here, but the whole thing with the children, man, that we always have to protect the kids, no matter what. At least if we cannot stand to protect the kids, bro, you can't really stand for anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the future. So.
You can have millions of opinions on anything else, but the safety of children is non-negotiable, and I'll leave it there. Thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, guys. Just make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of new content that's going to be released, just like Jay mentioned. And if you have any good ideas that you want us to go over, just drop it down in the comment section, and yeah, just let us know.
Yeah. We really want to give you guys good content. We really want to give you guys stuff that you enjoy. When we're at the bar and we're talking, people join the conversation and really have a good time, and that's kind of what inspired us to make this podcast. Is people seem to be really engaging with what we're doing. And as time goes on, we do want to take some of these podcasts and clip them down by subjects, kind of like JRE style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you guys can listen to the whole thing, or you guys can just listen to part of it, or you guys can listen to only the topic that you're interested in. So,
all right, guys. See you until next time.
Take care, guys. Peace.